All of the men in this room are bound by blood. This is a family.
Mafia: The Old Country, a prequel to a series that's had its fair share of highs and lows and the occasional head-scratching plot detour. But now in 2025, we're asking the important question, is this game just another nostalgic cash-in or a glimpse of what the future of story-driven gaming may actually look like? Spoiler, the answer involves a lot of horses, knives, and third-person shooting, so buckle up.
Going down here. Keep going, old cars. Officers in danger. Needing assistance. Got him!
To understand The Old Country, we first have to understand the Mafia series itself. Mafia 1 was a tight, story-driven, and unashamedly linear game. Mafia 2 polished that formula, delivering one of the most stylish crime narratives in gaming history. And Mafia 3, well, let's just say it had ambition, a sprawling world, and sometimes it really lacked focus. The game was full of bloat. Now, nearly after a decade, Hangar 13 and 2K are back with The Old Country. What's the goal here? To take the series back to its roots, focus on the story, and avoid the pitfalls of an open-world bloated game. The result, a linear cinematic, $50 game that knows exactly what it wants to be. And in a world where every AAA title costs $80 and demands 100 hours of your life, that clarity is quite refreshing. You play as Enzo Favera. He starts small, both literally and figuratively. A miner in Sicily, indentured in a mine, with dreams bigger than his life prospects. Eventually, he's pulled into the orbit of the Dawn. And we get a story that's classic Mafia, betrayal, ambition, romance, and occasionally a bloody disagreement. It's not revolutionary, but here's the thing. The what doesn't matter as much as the how. The Old Country nails the how. The writing, the character interactions, and the deliberate pacing all feel intentional. Unlike some modern games where the narrative feels like it's on a fast forward, this one takes its sweet time. 3 hours in, and yes, you finally get a gun. But by then, you care enough about the world and the people in it that the feeling of pulling the trigger actually means something. Some twists are predictable if you've watched one too many mob movies, but there's enough nuance to keep even veteran Mafia fans invested. The focus on Enzo's relationships, particularly with the Don's daughter, gives the story some weight without sliding into the melodrama category. Let's talk gameplay. Knife fights, gunfights, stealth, horseback travel, and let's steer the conversation away from the lovingly crafted cutscenes. If you're expecting GTA-level freedom or Red Dead-style side hustles, you'll be disappointed. But if you want tight, focused gameplay that complements a strong narrative, welcome home. Enemies are smarter than previous entries, thank God. They flank, they flush you out, and even make mistakes that feel human. Gun sway, grenades force movement, and the hard mode isn't a cheat code. It's an actual challenge. Stealth is forgiving but effective, and the mission design encourages exploration without forcing busy work. Optional rewards like hidden safes or currency for weapon upgrades give you small incentives without turning the game into a second job. And yes, it's basic, but basic well done is infinitely more satisfying than overambitious, bloated mechanics that accomplish absolutely nothing. Graphically, the game looks incredible. Hangar 13 pushed hard on character animation, lighting, and cinematic direction. Minor bugs exist, one or two awkward animations here or there, but this is a polished piece of software in an industry where polished often just means enough to avoid a YouTube meltdown. Cutscenes are cinematic, acting is strong, Italian accents are mostly passable. Horses look like actual horses and not confuse deer with leather saddles. The world feels alive without being an endless sandbox, which is deliberate design choice that works in the game's favor. Here's the elephant in the room. This is a $50 game, and yes, there are concessions for that. Some animations aren't flawless, side activities are minimal, and the open world expectations are deliberately unmet. But that's the point. You asked for a cheaper game, so you got one. Hangar 13 focused on what matters: story, characters, core gameplay, and a few quality of life upgrades from the previous entries. It's a lesson in scope management that larger AAA titles could learn from. Every dollar spent enhances the things that actually impact your experience. The rest ignored, and honestly, that's fine. It's also worth noting that Mafia exists in the shadow of giants like Grand Theft Auto. Take-Two doesn't really need the series, which makes it all the more impressive that they've committed to a product that's both boutique and faithful to its legacy. Remember Mind's Eye, the game that tried a lot and achieved very little, and taught us all how painful a poorly executed ambition can really be? The Old Country isn't that. Its mechanics are familiar, yes, but they work. Its story is linear, yes, but it's deliberate. It's a reminder that you don't always need to reinvent the wheel to make a satisfying experience. In other words, this is how you do a classic game in 2025 without pretending it's a AAA sandbox juggernaut. Here's the thing, Mafia the Old Country doesn't waste your time. No arbitrary crafting system where you gather wolf pelts to upgrade your boots, no endless towers to climb, no bloated checklist of errands that makes you question your life choices. Instead, it respects your time by keeping the focus squarely on what matters, a good story, competent gameplay, and just enough variety to keep you dozing off mid-cutscene. It's almost shocking that in 2025 a game can feel this lean, this purposeful. Like the developers remembered that they were making a video game and not a part-time job simulator. This game really felt like a recreation of the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 generation of games. It was just something you could throw on the TV, sink an hour into a day, and then just go on about your life, and you didn't have to stress about DLCs, time-sensitive skins, or any of that stuff that is just kind of like it goes hand in hand with gaming in 2025. The big 2025 is all about milking the consumer for every minute and every possible dollar that they can possibly spend. And this game isn't that. And, saying all of those things, talking about how this game feels lean, and for all of its restraint, the game still manages to feel big. Not in the Ubisoft, here's a map the size of actual Sicily way, but how a lived-in world really feels. The characters stick with you, the villages feel authentic, the narrative weight makes even the smallest mission feel important. It's proof that scale doesn't have to be measured in square mileage. Sometimes it's about how much emotional ground you cover instead, and in that respect, the Old Country feels far larger than it really is. Pros, story-driven and cinematic, polished visual performance, tight and engaging gameplay, and the $50 price tag that makes the scope concessions easier to swallow. The cons, linear world with minimal side content, early pacing is slow for impatient players, and there's some minor animation/AI hiccups. Bottom line, Mafia the Old Country doesn't aim to wow with radical innovation. It aims to do what does well, and it succeeds for the most part. If you go in expecting GTA 6 or Red Dead vibes, you'll be disappointed. But if you want a story-driven cinematic Mafia experience with sharp gameplay and no filler, congratulations, you found it. So is this the future of gaming? Maybe not the future of AAA open-world spectacles, but it's a glimpse at the future where developers focus on doing fewer things better. Valuing story and gameplay over empty side quests and offering players a satisfying, polished experience without over-promising. That, in my book, is the future worth exploring. That's it for Mafia, the Old Country. Linear, cinematic, and surprisingly soulful. If you've been missing classic story-driven type games from the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 era, this is a reminder of why those types of games matter. Now go pick it up and load up a horse, and maybe, just maybe, respect the power of a well-aimed knife.
Kill anyone who gets in your way.